The throne room of the Zorani Empire was cold. Not because of temperature, but because of the people inside it. Golden walls stretched high toward the ceiling. Precious stones decorated every corner. But there was no warmth here. No love. Princess Valith stood before her father's throne. Her hands were folded in front of her. Her head was bowed low. She had learned long ago that looking into Emperor Zorith's 4 golden eyes brought only pain. The physicians have given their final report, the Emperor said. His voice echoed through the massive chamber. You are barren, useless, a disgrace to the royal bloodline. Valith did not cry. She had stopped crying years ago. Tears changed nothing in the Zorani Empire. Weakness was punished. Strength was rewarded. As she had neither. Father, perhaps there are other treatments, she began softly. Silence. The Emperor's word cut through the air like a blade. I have wasted enough resources on you. 17 years of the finest education. The best trainers. The most expensive medicines. And for what? A daughter who cannot produce heirs. Valith's heart squeezed painfully in her chest. She wanted to scream that she was more than her ability to have children. She wanted to tell him that she had studied 6 languages, mastered diplomatic protocols, and learned the history of 100 star systems. But none of that mattered. In Zorani culture, a princess existed for one purpose only, to create alliances through marriage and produce powerful offspring. Without fertility, she was nothing. However, the Emperor continued, leaning back on his throne. You still have some small use. Valith looked up carefully. A tiny spark of hope flickered in her chest. The humans have been requesting a diplomatic marriage for 30 years. They control the Helix Corridor, the fastest trade route between the outer colonies. I need access to that corridor. Emperor Zorith's lips curled in disgust. They are primitive creatures, short-lived, emotional, weak. No respectable species would marry into their kind. But you are no longer respectable, are you? The spark of hope died instantly. You will marry a human ambassador, the Emperor declared. This will give us trade access, and I will finally be free of the burden you represent. Valith's legs felt weak. She had heard stories about humans. They were newcomers to the galaxy, having only discovered space travel 500 years ago. The elder races looked down on them. They were considered barely civilized. Some said they were aggressive. Others said they were strange and unpredictable. And now she would be sent to live among them, alone, forgotten. When do I leave? She asked quietly. Tomorrow. The human delegation is already on their way. The Emperor waved his hand dismissively. Go, prepare yourself, and do try not to embarrass me further. Valith bowed low and walked out of the throne room. Her footsteps echoed against the marble floor. Servants moved out of her way, their eyes avoiding hers. Word had already spread. The disgraced princess, the barren one, the one being thrown away to the primitive eyes. She reached her chambers and closed the door behind her. Only then did she allow herself to lean against the wall and breathe deeply. Her room was beautiful silk curtains, golden furniture, a window overlooking the imperial gardens. But it had always felt like a decorated prison. Now she was being transferred to a different prison. That was all. Her personal servant, old Mira, entered quietly with a tray of tea. The elderly woman had served Valith since childhood. She was the closest thing to family that Valith had ever known. I heard the news, my princess, Mira said softly, setting down the tray. I am sorry. Do not be sorry, Mira. Perhaps the humans will be kind. Mira's expression suggested she did not believe this. They are strange creatures, my lady. I have heard they form attachments based on emotion rather than logic. They make decisions with their hearts instead of their minds. That does sound strange, Valith admitted. She could not imagine such a thing. In the Zorani Empire, everything was calculated. Marriages were business transactions. Children were investments. Love was a weakness that enemies could exploit. But perhaps, Mira added carefully, strange is not always bad. Valith considered this as she sipped her tea. She had spent her whole life trying to fit into Sarani society, trying to be perfect, trying to be valuable. And she had failed. Maybe failing in a different place would hurt less. The human delegation arrived the next morning. Valith watched from her window as their shuttle landed in the imperial courtyard. It was a simple vessel, functional rather than decorative. The Zerani ships were covered in gold and jewels. This human ship was plain gray metal, practical, unimpressive. The delegation that emerged was small. Only 5 individuals. They wore simple dark uniforms with silver badges. No elaborate robes or crowns. No display of wealth or power. The leader was a human male with black hair turning gray at the edges. His skin was a warm brown color, and his eyes were dark and calm. He moved with quiet confidence. When Zerani officials approached him with barely hidden contempt, he simply bowed politely and smiled. Valith found this fascinating. Any Zerani would have responded to disrespect with aggression. This human seemed unbothered. Princess Valith, a guard announced, entering her room. The human commander requests to meet you before departure. The Emperor has approved. She straightened her spine and followed the guard to the meeting chamber. Her heart beat quickly. This was the moment her new life would begin. The human commander stood when she entered. He bowed deeply, deeper than protocol required. When he rose, his eyes met hers directly. Not inspecting her, not judging her, simply seeing her. Your Highness, he said in accented but clear Zerani, my name is Commander James Chun. It is an honor to meet you. I hope we can make your journey comfortable. Please let us know if you need anything at all. Valith blinked. She had expected coldness, disappointment, perhaps cruelty. Instead, she found only simple kindness. She did not know how to respond to kindness. Thank you, Commander, she managed as she boarded the human shuttle and watched her homeworld grow smaller through the window. Valith felt something she had not felt in years. She felt curious about tomorrow. The human ship was nothing like Valith expected. She had prepared herself for a dark, primitive vessel. Perhaps dirty corridors and rough soldiers. The Zerani always described humans as barbarians who had stumbled into space travel by accident, but the TSS Constellation was bright and clean. The corridors were wide and filled with soft lighting. Plants grew in containers along the walls. Actual living plants. Valith had never seen a military ship with gardens before. More surprising were the people. Crew members walked past her and smiled. Some nodded politely. Others said welcome aboard in friendly voices. Nobody bowed or scraped or avoided her eyes in fear. They treated her like a person, just a regular person. Commander Chan walked beside her, pointing out different areas of the ship. This is the medical bay. Here is the recreation room. And down that corridor is the observation deck. You can see the stars very clearly from there. You have a recreation room? Valith asked, confused. On a military vessel? Of course. Humans need rest and entertainment. It keeps morale high. Chan smiled warmly. We have games, books, music. You are welcome to use it any time. Valith did not understand. In the Zerani military, comfort was considered weakness. Soldiers trained, fought, and died. That was their purpose. Entertainment was for the wealthy elite only. They reached her quarters and Chan opened the door. The room inside made Valith stop breathing for a moment. It was beautiful. A large bed with soft blue blankets. A window showing the stars outside. A small sitting area with comfortable chairs. Fresh flowers, real flowers in a vase on the table. And books. Shelves filled with actual paper books. We were not sure what you would like, Chan said apologetically. So we tried to provide many options. If anything is wrong, please tell us. We want you to be comfortable. Valith stepped inside slowly. She touched the flower petals gently. They were soft and real. You did this. For me, of course. You are our guest. Guest, not prisoner. Not burden. Not unwanted cargo. Guest. Valith felt her throat tighten with emotions she could not name. 3 days into the journey, Velith met her future husband. Ambassador David Okonkwo arrived on a transport shuttle from a nearby human colony. Velith waited in the meeting room, her hands clasped tightly together, her stomach twisted with nervousness. This was the man she would spend her life with. The man who had agreed to marry a defective princess from a species that looked down on his people. She expected him to be disappointed when he saw her. Perhaps angry. The Zorani had basically insulted humanity by offering their reject. The door opened. David Okonkwo was tall for a human. His skin was deep brown, like rich earth. His hair was black with streaks of gray, cut short and neat. His eyes were warm and kind, with small wrinkles at the corners that suggested he smiled often. He wore simple clothes, a gray jacket over a white shirt. No medals, no symbols of power. He looked more like a teacher than a politician. "Princess Velith," he said, bowing his head respectfully. "Thank you for agreeing to meet with me. I know this situation is not easy." Velith stood stiffly. "Ambassador Okonkwo, I hope the journey was not difficult. Please call me David." He gestured to the chairs. "May we sit? I would like to talk with you." "Just talk. Nothing formal." They sat across from each other. A crew member brought tea and small cake. David thanked the crew member by name, Marcus, and asked about his daughter's school performance. The crew member grinned and chatted happily for a moment before leaving. Velith watched this exchange with fascination. An ambassador speaking casually with a common crew member, asking about his family? This would never happen in the Zorani Empire. David turned back to her. His expression became serious but gentle. "Princess, I want to be honest with you. I know this marriage was arranged for political reasons. I know you did not choose this. And I know your people consider humans to be ... lesser." Velith opened her mouth to protest politely, but David raised his hand. "It is fine. I'm not offended. What matters to me is this." He leaned forward slightly. "I will not treat you as property. I will not treat you as a political tool. You are a person with your own thoughts and dreams and desires. I want to know who you are. The real you. Not the princess. Not the diplomat. You." Velith stared at him. "I do not understand. What do you enjoy? What makes you happy? What do you want from life?" David asked simply. Nobody had ever asked her these questions. Ever. In 23 years of life, not a single person had wondered what Velith wanted. She was a princess. Princesses did not want things. They performed duties. I do not know," she admitted quietly. The confession felt shameful. David nodded as if this was perfectly normal. "That is okay. You have time to discover it. We have a long journey ahead. And I promise you this, whatever you decide you want, I will help you find it, even though I cannot give you children." The words burst out before Velith could stop them. "Even though I am defective?" David's expression changed. Something fierce flickered in his eyes. Not anger at her, anger for her. "Velith," he said firmly, "you are not defective. Children are wonderful, yes, but they are not the only thing that gives life meaning. Humans build families in many ways. Some adopt children. Some have none at all. Some consider their friends as family." He reached across and gently touched her hand. "Your value is not measured by your womb. It is measured by your heart, your mind, your soul. And those things are yours alone." Velith felt something crack inside her chest. A wall she had built long ago to protect herself from pain. Behind that wall, tears had been waiting for years. For the first time since childhood, Princess Velith of the Zorani Empire began to cry, and the human just held her hand and led her. 2 weeks passed on the constellation. Velith began to change. Slowly, carefully, like a flower. Opening after a long winter, she started eating meals in the common dining hall instead of alone in her room. The human crew welcomed her warmly. They asked her questions about Zorani culture, and they listened with genuine interest. They taught her human card games and laughed kindly when she made mistakes. She discovered she loved human music. It was so different from Zeroni compositions, full of emotion and passion. One evening, a crew member named Elena played guitar and sang a soft song about home. Bailey felt tears in her eyes, but did not feel ashamed that David visited her every day. They talked for hours about everything and nothing. He told her about Earth, the blue oceans, the green forests, the busy cities filled with millions of people. He described human holidays where families gathered to eat and exchange gifts. He explained that humans measured success not by power but by happiness. "That sounds inefficient," Lilith said one afternoon, smiling slightly. David laughed. "Perhaps. But efficient is not always better." She was beginning to understand what he meant. On the 15th day, Dr. Sarah Vance requested a medical examination. "Just routine," the doctor explained with a friendly smile. She was a small woman with red hair and kind green eyes. "We want to make sure you can handle Terran food and atmosphere. Some species have allergic reactions. Better to check now than have problems later." Bailiff agreed. She lay on the medical bed while strange human machines hummed around her. Blue lights scanned her body. Screens displayed information she could not read. Dr. Vance studied the results. Her expression slowly changed from professional calm to confusion, then to shock, then to something that looked like anger. "Is something wrong?" Bailiff asked, sitting up. Dr. Vance did not answer immediately. She ran the scan again, then a third time. Her hands trembled slightly as she worked. "Doctor?" Bailiff felt fear creeping into her chest. "Princess, I need to call a meeting. Commander Chen and Ambassador Okonkwo must see this." Dr. Vance's voice was tight, controlled. "Please wait here." 20 minutes later, Bailiff sat in a conference room. David was beside her, holding her hand. Commander Chan stood near the door with crossed arms. Dr. Vance stood before a large screen displaying medical data. "What is this about?" Bailiff asked. Her heart was beating fast. Dr. Vance took a deep breath. "Princess, my scans found something unusual in your body. A synthetic compound. A chemical that does not occur naturally." "What kind of chemical?" "A suppressant. It blocks certain hormones in your system. Specifically," Dr. Vance paused, choosing her words carefully. "Specifically, the hormones related to reproduction." Silence filled the room. Bailiff did not understand. "What does that mean?" "It means," Dr. Vance said slowly, "that you are not naturally infertile. Someone has been giving you this chemical, probably for many years. Since childhood, based on the concentration levels." The words hit Bailiff like a physical blow. "That is not possible," she whispered. "The royal physicians examined me many times. They said my condition was genetic, permanent. They lied." Commander Chen's voice was hard as stone. "Or they were the ones who poisoned you." "Poisoned." The word echoed in Bailiff's mind. Her father's physicians. The ones who declared her defective. The ones who recommended her disposal. They had created her condition deliberately. They had made her worthless on purpose, which meant her father knew. He had known all along. Why? The question came out broken. Barely a sound. David squeezed her hand tightly. His jaw was clenched. His eyes burned with quiet fury. Political reasons, perhaps. Maybe another wife's family wanted their daughter to be the valuable one. Maybe you threatened someone's position in the succession. Royal courts are full of such schemes. Bailey thought of her stepmothers, her half-siblings, the constant competition for Emperor Zoroth's favor. Had one of them arranged this? Had her own father approved it? Or worse, had he ordered it himself? Can it be fixed? David asked Dr. Vance. Yes, with proper treatment, the chemical can be flushed from her system. Full recovery is expected within 1 Terran year. Her body will function normally again. Normally, Bailith could be normal. She had never been broken at all. She had been sabotaged, betrayed by her own blood. This is a crime, Commander Chan said firmly. Under Galactic Compact law, deliberate genetic interference is classified as biological assault. If we can prove the Emperor ordered this, we can prove it. Dr. Vance pulled up more data. The chemical is Zerani military grade. only available to high-level officials. Someone with imperial clearance authorized this. David stood up. His usual gentle expression was gone. In its place was something Valith had not seen before, the face of a man ready for battle. "We will expose this," he said. "The entire galaxy will know what the Zerani Emperor did to his own daughter." "David." Valith gripped his hand. "If you do this, there will be consequences. My father will be humiliated. He will want revenge. He controls the Helix Corridor. He could destroy human trade routes. Start a war." David looked down at her. His eyes softened, but his resolve did not waver. "Valith, I need you to understand something about humans. We do not abandon our people. We do not ignore injustice for convenience. Your father committed a terrible crime against you, and you are one of us now." He cupped her face gently. "Whatever comes next, we face it together." Valith searched his eyes for doubt, for hesitation, for the calculation she would have seen in any Zerani politician. She found only truth. "What do you want to do?" Commander Chen asked her directly. "This is your choice, Princess. Your story. Your decision." Her decision. Nobody had ever given her a decision before. Valith thought of all the years she had spent feeling worthless. The shame. The loneliness. The quiet despair of being unwanted. Then she thought of other Zerani daughters. Other princesses being told they were defective. Other lives being destroyed by cruel lies. She straightened her spine. "I want the truth to be known," she said firmly. "I want everyone to know what my father did." David smiled proudly. "Then we tell them." The message was sent to every major news network in the galaxy. Dr. Vance's medical report. The chemical analysis. The evidence pointing directly to the Zerani Imperial Court. Everything was released for the public to see. Within hours, the story spread like wildfire. "Zerani Emperor poisons own daughter," the headline screamed. "Princess declared defective was actually sabotaged. Human doctors uncover royal conspiracy." Valith watched the news broadcasts from the constellation's observation deck. Her face was everywhere. Her story was being discussed by billions of beings across hundreds of worlds. She had never felt so exposed, so vulnerable. David stood beside her quietly. He did not speak. He simply stayed close, letting her know she was not alone. "They are calling me a victim," Valith said softly. "You are a survivor," David corrected gently. "There was a difference." 3 days later, Emperor Zoroth responded. His holographic image appeared in the constellation's communication center. The transmission was forced through a display of Zerani technological power. Commander Chan had no choice but to accept it. The Emperor's 4 golden eyes blazed with fury. His scales had darkened to an angry red color. Behind him, Zerani admirals and generals stood in rigid formation. "You have made a terrible mistake, humans," Zoroth's voice boomed through the speakers. "You have insulted the Zerani Empire. You have spread lies about my family. You have stolen my property." Commander Chan stood firm. "Princess Valith is not property. She is a person who has requested asylum with the Terran Confederation. We have granted her request. She is a Zerani citizen. She belongs to the Empire. She belongs to him." The Emperor leaned forward, his massive form filling the screen. "Return her immediately or face the consequences." "What consequences?" Chan asked calmly. "The Helix Corridor will be closed to all human vessels. Your trade routes will be destroyed. Your colonies will starve. And if you still refuse," Zoroth's lips curled into a cruel smile, "we will take her back by force." The threat hung heavy in the air. Everyone understood what this meant. War. A war that humanity might not win. The Zerani Empire had thousands of warships. Their technology was advanced. Their military was powerful. The humans had courage and determination. But courage did not stop plasma cannons. David stepped forward. His voice was steady and calm. "Emperor Zoroth, I am Ambassador David Okanwa. Valith is my wife under Terran law. She has chosen to stay with us, and we have chosen to protect her." "Then you have chosen death," Zoroth spat. "Perhaps," David did not flinch. But I want you to understand something. Humanity has faced extinction before. Ice ages, plagues, wars that killed millions. We survived all of it. Not because we were the strongest. Not because we were the smartest. But because we refused to abandon each other. He took another step forward, his eyes locked on the Emperor's image. You can close the corridor. You can blockade our colonies. You can send your entire fleet against us. But we will not give you Valeth. Not today. Not ever. Because she is one of us now. And humans protect their own. Silence stretched across the communication channel. Emperor Zoroth's eyes narrowed. You would risk everything for one worthless female? She is not worthless, David replied firmly. That is the difference between us, Emperor. You measure worth by usefulness. We measure worth by humanity. Every person matters. Every life has value. Even the lives your empire throws away. The Emperor stared at David for a long moment. Something flickered in his golden eyes. Perhaps surprise. Perhaps confusion. He could not understand these strange creatures who valued sentiment over survival. Then you will burn, Zoroth said finally. All of you. The transmission ended. Commander Chen turned to his officers. His face was grim but determined. Battle stations. I want all defensive systems online. Send word to Terran Command. We need reinforcements. Crew members rushed to their positions. Alarms began to sound. The constellation prepared for combat. Valeth stood frozen in the middle of the chaos. Her chest felt tight. Her hands trembled. This is my fault, she whispered. All of this. Because of me. David turned to her. He took her hands in his, holding them firmly. No, this is your father's fault. His cruelty. His pride. You did nothing wrong, Valeth. You simply wanted to live. That is not a crime. But your people will die. Your ships will be destroyed. The corridor. Listen to me. David's voice was fierce. There are things more important than trade routes. There are principles worth fighting for. Worth dying for. He cupped her face gently. You are worth fighting for. Valeth's eyes filled with tears. Why? Why do you care so much about someone you barely know? David smiled softly. Because that is what love means, Valeth. Not just romance, but love for all people. Compassion for strangers. The belief that every soul deserves protection. He wiped a tear from her cheek. The moment you asked for our help, you became family. And family does not abandon family. Valeth had never known such love existed. Not in her cold palace. Not among her scheming relatives. Not anywhere in the Zorani Empire. But here, on this small human ship facing impossible odds. She finally understood. This was what it meant to belong. The Zorani fleet appeared on Censures 2 hours later. 50 warships. Battle cruisers with enough firepower to destroy planets. Fighters swarming like angry insects. The most powerful military force in the quadrant. Against them stood the Constellation and 3 small escort vessels. Commander Chen looked at the screen. His jaw was tight. Well, he said quietly, this will be interesting. Valeth watched the approaching fleet. Fear gripped her heart. But alongside the fear was something new. Determination. She would not let these humans die for her without fighting back. She was done being helpless. Done being a victim. Commander, she said firmly. I have an idea. Chan turned to her with raised eyebrows. I want to make a broadcast. To the entire galaxy. Before the battle begins, David and Chan exchanged glances. What kind of broadcast? David asked. Valeth straightened her spine. Her eyes hardened with purpose. The kind that changes everything. The broadcast equipment was set up quickly. Crew members worked with urgent speed. Cables collected. Cameras positioned. Transmission arrays pointed toward every communication. Satellite in range. Valeth stood in the center of the observation deck. The stars glittered behind her through the massive window. In the distance, the Zorani fleet moved closer. 50 warships ready to destroy everything. She had maybe 30, Minutes before the battle began, David stood beside the camera. His eyes were full of pride and worry. "Are you sure about this?" Velith nodded slowly. "I have been silent my entire life. Told to be quiet. Told I had no value. Told my voice did not matter." She looked at the camera with determination. "I will not be silent anymore." Commander Chen gave the signal. "Broadcasting now. Every major frequency. Every news network. The whole galaxy will hear this." A red light appeared on the camera. Velith was live. She took a deep breath and began to speak. "My name is Velith. I was born a princess of the Zorani Empire. For 23 years I believed I was defective, broken, worthless. My own father told me this. His physicians confirmed it. I was declared infertile and unable to produce heirs. And because of this, I was thrown away, given to humans like unwanted garbage." Her voice trembled slightly, but she continued. "But the humans did something unexpected. They treated me with kindness. They gave me choices. They asked what I wanted, something no one had ever asked before. And their doctors discovered a terrible truth." Velith paused. The weight of her next words pressed heavily on her chest. "I was never infertile. I was poisoned deliberately since childhood. Someone in the Imperial Court, perhaps my own father, ordered this done to me. They made me worthless on purpose. Then they discarded me." She let this truth sink in for a moment. "When I revealed this crime, my father did not apologize. He did not seek justice. Instead, he sent a fleet of 50 warships to take me back, to silence me forever. Right now, those ships are approaching. They will destroy this vessel and everyone on it. Humans will die today not for wealth or territory, but because they refused to surrender one unwanted princess." Velith felt tears forming, but she did not let them fall. "I am telling you this story for a reason, because I know I am not alone. Across this galaxy, there are millions like me. Daughters declared worthless by their families. Sons abandoned because they were different. People thrown away because they did not meet someone else's standards of value." Her voice grew stronger. "The Zorani taught me that worth comes from usefulness, from power, from bloodlines and fertility and political connections. But the humans taught me something different. They taught me that every person has value simply because they exist. Every soul matters. Every life is precious." She looked directly into the camera, directly at every being watching across 1,000 worlds. "The humans are willing to die for this belief. They are willing to fight an empire not for profit or conquest, but because they believe I deserve to live freely. They believe everyone deserves to live freely." Velith straightened her spine. "I do not know if we will survive today. The Zorani fleet is powerful. Our ships are few. But I want the galaxy to remember this moment. Remember that when a small group of humans faced impossible odds, they did not surrender an innocent person to save themselves. They stood firm. They drew a line in the stars and said no more." She paused one final time. "To everyone watching who has ever been told they are worthless, you are not. Your value does not depend on what you can produce or provide. You matter because you are alive, because you have dreams and hopes and fears, because you are someone. And to my father, Emperor Zorath, I say this: you may destroy this ship. You may kill these brave humans. You may even kill me. But you cannot destroy the truth. You cannot silence hope. The galaxy now knows what you did, and they will never forget." The broadcast ended. Silence filled the observation deck. Then David stepped forward and wrapped his arms around Velith. She buried her face in his chest and finally let the tears fall. "That was beautiful," he whispered. "I am so proud of you." Commander Chen's communication panel suddenly exploded with incoming signals. "Sir!" An officer shouted. "We are receiving transmissions from dozens of ships. Hundreds of ships." Chun rushed to the panel. His eyes widened. Ships were dropping out of hyperspace all around them. But they were not Zorani ships. They were vessels from a dozen different species. Trade ships, private yachts, old military cruisers, Even some Zorani civilian vessels dot, and they were all positioning themselves between the constellation and the Zorani fleet. What is happening? Valith asked, her voice shaking. Chun turned to her with amazement on his face. They are responding to your broadcast. These are ships crewed by outcasts. People who heard your words and decided to stand with us. The communication channel crackled with voices. This is the merchant vessel Bright Star. We stand with the humans. Trading. Ship Endless Sky reporting. We will not let the princess be taken. My daughter was declared defective by the Varix Council. Today we fight back. More and more voices joined. Hundreds of ships. Thousands of people. All answering Velith's call. The Zorani fleet stopped advancing. Emperor Zorith's face appeared on screen again. But this time, his expression was different. The anger remained, but something else was there too. Fear. This changes nothing, he growled. We will destroy you all. Commander Chan smiled calmly. Perhaps. But the galaxy is watching, Emperor. Every action you take now will be seen by billions. Is this really how you want to be remembered? Long silence stretched between them. Finally, the Emperor spoke through clenched teeth. Keep the worthless female. She is dead to the Empire. But know this, there will be consequences. The transmission ended. The Zorani fleet turned and retreated into hyperspace. 1 year later, Valith stood in a garden on Earth, real grass beneath her feet, a warm sun on her skin, flowers blooming everywhere that her medical treatments had worked. Her body was healthy, but more importantly, her soul was healed. David walked toward her, holding the hand of a small girl, their adopted daughter Maya. The child had been orphaned in a colony disaster. Now she had a family. Mama. Maya ran to Valith with open arms. Valith lifted her and held her close. This child who was not her blood, but was absolutely her daughter. David wrapped his arms around both of them. Happy? He asked softly. Valith looked at her husband. Her daughter. Her home. I never knew happiness was possible, she admitted. Until you showed me. David kissed her forehead gently. Welcome to humanity, my love. Valith smiled, a real smile full of warmth and peace. I think I will stay forever. The end.